Well, I figured I'd add my voice to everybody else out there talking about Charlie Kirk. Um, it's been a few hours since all that stuff happened, and I've had some time to think about it. Uh, Thankfully, I had a thing at church tonight, and I got to go and talk with other people and commiserate with them and just be around other people, not feel alone. So it was really good. But I got inspired to make this video because I was watching a stream from David Wood and Inspiring Philosophy and Apostate Prophet, and they were saying that a bunch of Muslims were celebrating the death of Charlie and saying they're next and those sorts of things, and it just got me thinking, and I wanted to add my thoughts. So I'm probably going to title this video "Charlie Will Rise Again." That's a comment that I'm seeing a lot online. Um, I think that should be a sort of rallying cry going forward. Charlie will rise again. And the thing is, anybody who does believe in Christ will rise again. Death is not the end. Charlie's life was taken, uh, his life was cut short. He was murdered in front of tons of people. He has a wife and 2 kids at home. And from all accounts that I can see, he seemed like a wonderful human being. Why him instead of anybody else, you know? And people are blaming all sorts of things for his death and blaming him for his death and rejoicing that he's dead and all those sorts of things. That doesn't really surprise me so much. I will say for the people who decided to, for the person who decided to kill him, for anybody who's had thoughts about wanting to kill him, anybody who's wished death upon him from any side, I think this is something that you just won't get. Christians do not love death like Muslims love death, for example. But Christians are emboldened by death. You can't silence us. Death makes us louder. Charlie, it was an out and out Christian. People are posting tweets from just a few days ago where he's talking about Jesus and saying he's the only way to heaven and he's what life is all about. And then he was killed. And yeah, he was doing some political thing. I don't know if he was talking about Christ, but in some sense, at least, he was killed for his faith. Certainly, people thought he was some sort of Christian that needed to die. So, in that sense, yeah, he's a martyr. And the first political assassination we've had in our country in a while, as far as I can remember. But yeah, his death, it stopped his mouth, yes, but not his legacy, not the people around him, not the people who put some kind of stock in him, saw the potential in him, put their money behind him or their time or their prayers or whatever. It didn't stop any of those people, and death is not the end, so it's not going to silence us. That's what you don't understand. That's what you'll never understand. Anybody who is apart from Christ, who is an enemy of Christ, who hates people like Charlie, you just don't get it. All you do is you think death is the end, and so the way to shut up the people that you don't like ultimately is to kill them. But Christians are the only ones where it makes us louder every time. Speaking of that, I have this little note here, and the last one on here that I wrote for myself really is that this is a wake-up call. I think there's been a lot of wake-up calls in the past few years for a variety of reasons, religious, political, cultural, whatever. A lot of wake-up calls for young people, old people. Charlie's death is a wake-up call for people. I remember a few months ago watching a live stream after the election where he was crying because of all the hard work that he had done to get Donald Trump in the office. And now he's gone. But it got me thinking, what are we doing? That man literally went to his death for what he believed, both religiously and politically, yes, not just religiously. But he went to his death believing in what he believed, being unashamed about it, and being in a venue where he's literally inviting people to prove him wrong and have dialogue. That is the essence of Western civilization built up by Christianity, and he was embodying that, and he was killed for it. But what are we doing? Not all of us are a Charlie Kirk. We don't do what he does, but when we go about our lives, are we really willing to lay down our lives like he did? He couldn't have known his death was coming that day. But certainly he's gotten plenty of death threats, and he knew it was a problem. I'm sure he's had conversations with his wife about it. I'm sure it's been on his mind, and, well, now it happened. I'm thankful that our country now is not as turbulent as it used to be. Political assassinations and, the Civil War and all those sorts of things. It used to be a lot worse. And generally, it's been a lot better, even with all the terrible stuff that's happened in the last few years, in the last few decades. But that doesn't mean bad stuff doesn't happen, as we've seen today. And yeah, I do think this is a wake-up call for people, especially for Christians. Are you doing what you can in your life? And are you really willing to lay down your life for what you believe? Most people won't have to, but Charlie did. And he can be an example for the rest of us. The sadness and sorrow and tightness in my chest from earlier today has really been replaced by a sense of boldness, in some sense rejoicing, because I know that Charlie's in heaven. I'm not rejoicing because he's dead, but because he's alive in heaven. And just reflecting on his life and what he did, even though I didn't follow him super closely. I see a guy who did a whole bunch of really good stuff and worked really hard and made his faith public and just tried. He just was obedient and he showed up. And I want to show up more in my life, in whatever I'm doing, the ministry, the family, the church stuff, whatever I'm doing for work, even making YouTube videos. I just want to show up like he did. So, Charlie will rise again, as will anybody who believes in Christ. This is not the end. We shouldn't fear those who kill the body, but can't touch the soul. Charlie didn't. And we should remember that God is with us even in the darkest moments. If you're feeling especially down about this, you might want to take a look at Psalm 88. It's the only psalm that doesn't end with some kind of thanksgiving for God. It's someone who is truly desperate and despairing, yet they don't disparage God. They still pray to him. It's just that there's no thanksgiving and gladness at the end. So maybe that'll help. Maybe you can commiserate with the psalmist. The rest of us are going to be commiserating for a while, I'm sure, on YouTube. In real life, it's going to be everywhere for a long time. But it's not the end. For now, that's all I got to say. I hope to be making some more stuff in the future, and I pray that this is the sort of thing that galvanizes me to get back at this, because people need to keep talking and be more unabashed about what they believe, myself included. So, see you guys next time.